Oh, just to, they've got a question from Piers. Just want to know which version of the episode to watch, because there's a DVD and a Blu-ray version of it. I'm watching a DVD. I think some people are watching the Blu-ray, so it's whatever you wish to watch. It doesn't matter which version.
No, I can't watch. I've only got what's on for my background.
For the thing, yeah. Yes, as long as you've got a copy of it, as long as people have got a copy of it, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah. They're not supposed to be watching mine, except for the fun of it.
Yeah. So as I say, thank you to everybody that's already joined us. We're just going to wait a couple of minutes just to see.
Sure.
To join us, and then we'll get started. You had a nice Easter, Renée?
Sorry?
You have a nice Easter? Did you have a nice Easter?
Oh, Easter. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, it was okay. It was okay.
Oh, good.
It's that, the hibernation and nothing, and not able to see anybody properly. This is a bit tough, but it's okay. I had some good things, definitely.
Oh, good. I find now that it's lighter in the evenings, it's I certainly feel a lot cheerier.
Yes. And next weekend, life will appear to be normal.
Yes, it's getting there slowly, isn't it?
Do I look like I'm looking at you when we're talking?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I think we're good.
Good.
So you enjoyed Ray's talk a couple of weeks ago?
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely wonderful. Yeah, that was really, really good.
Yeah, I thought he was on very good form. So yeah, it's very, very interesting, that one.
Yeah, I mean, I knew him right back from Dial 999, but I actually never knew him. I sent that as a message to you. I never felt that I knew him. And we did have one conversation on a motorway bridge, waiting for some stunt to happen. But it's very, very strange that, like 20 years or something, I knew him, and yet I didn't know him.
Yeah. Well, I suppose there's so much happening, so many people around.
Sure, yeah. It was always tense time, I guess, when he'd be not being the stunt man, but the stunt coordinator.
Yeah, and also.
As we said, what a multi-talented person! My goodness.
Oh yeah. To be a novelist, to be a stuntman.
You
name it. Okay, we've got a couple more people just joined us. So.
Oh, good.
I think we're almost there. I'll just give 1 more minute and then we'll get started.
My neighbour friends are supposed to, but I'm really not sure of their name. Halliwell or another surname they also have.
Just trying to see who we've got on here.
Gorman is the other surname.
Right. No Gorman, unfortunately.
No Halliwell. No.
I mean, they may join us as the night goes on. I don't know, but I'll keep an eye out for them.
About how many people, dare I ask, are you expecting?
Well, I think we had. So I think we were signed up. I think we had 18 signed up, and we've got 14. So that's. That's
well, yeah. We don't need thousands.
No.
That's great. That's good.
We had a dozen last time, so we have a.
We've gone up a little anyway.
And I've had a few people, a couple of people from Australia and one from America that couldn't make it because of the time difference. So.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Yeah. The Americans are all right because it's midday.
Yeah, yeah. So I think with the clocks going forward as well, I think that's changed people's time zones a little bit, and sort of those that could have made it 2 weeks ago finding it difficult now. So okay. Okay, so I think we'll probably begin. I think everyone's here that should be. So I just want to say hello to those that may have just recently joined us. Welcome to the New Avengers watch along for Last of Cybernaugts. I'm delighted to be joined by Renée for a second time to share her memories about this. Well, probably one of the best episodes of the Avengers. I include the original series in that, not just the New Avengers. So we're going to share some memories from the filming of the episode, but also Renée's wider career in general. And indeed, I've got some questions that want to know a bit more about certain non-Avengers projects and a few things about yourself as well. So we'll sort of delve into that as we go. So I don't think Renée needs any introduction, but I will give a brief one anyway. So she began her career in the mid-1940s as production secretary on things like Brief Encounter, Season Cleopatra, and then obviously progressed to what they used to call Continuity Girls, and then obviously which is now now you call it script editor. And you've worked on
script supervisor.
Sorry, yes. As I said, I knew. Supervisor, I should have said. And obviously, to give me credits include some of Hammer films, not just the Hammer horrors, Hammer films in general. Obviously, more famous for the horror films, but they have a huge body of work prior to the horror films. Pierce Brosnan's Around the World in 80 Days, that fabulous TV miniseries. The Casino Royale, the original version of David Niven in 1967. Is there any credits you'd like to add, Renée, that you're particularly proud of that you would like people to know about?
Well, I can't think of the titles at the moment, but I worked on two what were thought to be like the worst films ever made, but they turned out they're now cult movies. And I'll think of the titles later, or you might, or somebody else might for me. Yeah. I think David McGillivray would know what I was talking about.
And it's quite strange, isn't it? The things that perhaps are discarded at the time suddenly have these followings later on, which is kind of a bit strange, isn't it? Really. Space Maidens from Outer Space. That one of them.
Yeah, that's it. That's that's it. That's the really famous bad one. Yeah. And there's another one which I will think of, or somebody else will think of.
Yeah. It's a lovely title, anyway.
Yes. My goodness, why can't I think of it? Anyway, I will think of it.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll touch on various projects. I mean, I think one of my favourites is probably A Room Review, the Merchant Ivory film, obviously.
And mine too, really. Yeah.
But again, we do have a question about that, so we'll get back to that later on. So if everybody's got their copy of The Last of Cybernaugts ready to go, then we shall begin the episode. So if everyone's just either on depending on which version you have, but as long as you're sort of just at the beginning of the episode, and then we'll probably maybe slightly out of sync, but we're just using it as a conversation piece. So if we're a few seconds out, it doesn't matter particularly. So I'll just do a quick 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown, and then we'll press play, and then we'll begin to talk about the episode. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and press play. Okay, so I've got the option releasing DVD version playing, so that's now, I haven't quite got the episode yet, but it will in a few seconds. So Renée, what were your first thoughts when it came to looking at The Last of Cybernaugts again? What did you think of it when you saw it again after all this time?
Well, I was really, very, very pleasantly shocked, and seeing the making of and the background, it was absolutely wonderful.
Okay.
I recognized, I would say, every single shot, and often I see a film, or mostly I recognize everything where I was sitting and all that sort of thing, what drama there was connected, because I can't concentrate on enjoying them the first time after many years of not seeing them. But Cybernaugts I was very, very happy with, and I'm still very, very impressed with it.
Yeah.
So, thank you for giving it to me so.
Also, I've lost Renee for a second, but just pause our DVDs and we're trying to get it back.
I'm on the recording. I can't talk to you.
Sorry, everyone. Just be a couple of seconds.
I've lost the Zoom situation.
I can still hear you, Renee, but I can't see you. Oh yes, got you back.
We're back. We're back.
There we are. Okay, I've got you. Yeah, that's fine.
We're back. We're back properly. I had an. Oh God.
Sorry, Renee's using her phone.
And I don't. You can't talk to me now. We're recording. And go away.
You right there?
Right. That's my poor son trying to get onto the recording, and he obviously can't, but I can't help him.
Has he, well, just double check to see if he's emailed me, because if he's emailed me, I can just send the link.
And you're interrupting the recording.
Oh, yes, I've got him. It's Ant, isn't it? I will...
you've got it. It's okay. It's okay. Good.
I'm just sending him the link.
We're back. I'm sorry about that. You've got it.
Right.
Got you.
So he should be able to join us now. So
thank goodness.
So that's okay. Sorry, everyone. We just got a last minute attendee joining us, so just can give them a couple of seconds.
So all our people watching are seeing all this hoo-ha, this chaos that we're doing, you and I, at the moment.
Well, life's about chaos, isn't it? So it's supposed to be haven't we?
Yeah,
really?
yeah. Yes.
So hopefully you can get on. So just double check.
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just make sure that
he hasn't tried to phone me yet again, so he probably has.
Yeah, hopefully he's okay. So yeah, okay, everyone, we'll get back to the episode. So I'll do the countdown again. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we'll resume. Okay.
Good.
So you were saying that this was one of the episodes you were the most proud to have done.
I think so, quite honestly.
And what do you think, mate? Why is that the case? Why is it so fondly remembered by yourself?
Well, I suppose it's so over the top, but believable.
Yeah.
And I guess that because many of the episodes you might think they wouldn't have happened in everyday life, but this would, and I'm very convinced that there are Cybernaugts.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
I mean, I think that one thing the new Avengers is that it does have more of a grittiness, more of a believability than perhaps some of the original series. So it's a bit more grounded in reality, perhaps. Did you watch the original Cybernaut episodes with?
No, never.
No, because I imagine probably people like Ray Austin and various people involved in the production would no doubt have referenced the previous episodes as preparation for it. I mean, they work quite nicely as a trilogy. So this is kind of like a nice little sort of bookend to the Cybernaut story. So again, I think that's one of the reasons why fans enjoy it so. Because
they used to look a bit just like gangsters with masks, didn't they?
Yeah, I think it's a bit more. I mean, the look I think is not overly different from the original their original appearances, but obviously every appearance is slightly perhaps a bit more sophisticated, a bit more streamlined. So, and obviously by now they obviously had it, you know, the way they wanted it.
They're very, very menacing, I must say.
Yeah, I think so.
I think I was quite shocked on the set, really. I think I kind of wanted to hide.
Yes. Because it was a gentleman called Rocky Taylor, wasn't it, who played the Cybernaut?
Yes, yeah, Rocky was, you know, everything.
Do you remember much about anything about Rocky as a person?
Well, I mean, no, only, you know, knowing him really well and knowing about his terrible accident and his comeback from his accident. And we always gave him a part where he, you know, wasn't being Rocky Taylor, he was being an actor.
Yes.
So he usually had one line or one word.
He does pop up a couple of times in the original Avengers series as you know, not just doing stunts, so acting in various sort of minor roles. And obviously he's still working to this day. So, like yourself, one of the
Really, yes, my goodness.
I think he's got the credit of working on all of the James Bond films up to the present. I don't think anybody else has done that, to be on every single one of them. So
that's amazing, very, very amazing.
Do you remember much about the director of this episode? It was Sidney Hayes.
Yeah, I knew him really well. He was an assistant editor many moons ago at Denham. Yeah. And I knew him then. And then I knew him as an editor. And then he popped up on New Avengers and maybe something else that I'd worked on as a director, but I'm not sure. But, you know, like lovely, laid back guy.
Oh. How would he compare to, say, the other directors that you worked with on, say, because also when we were doing the Eagle's Nest, it was I'm trying to think who the director was. It was Desmond Davis who did the Eagle's Nest.
Yeah. Well, Desmond Davis is, you know, come from camera, and Sidney Hayes came from editing. So, you know, they're kind of different sometimes in their approach, but all the directors on the New Avengers, I loved each one probably more than the next one.
Yes. So it was quite a happy show to work on, it sounds like.
I mean, what is strange when you're on a series, the crew remains exactly the same, and you just change director each time. And so the crew kind of does its own thing, and the director doesn't always have the complete control over us.
Yes. But you found that the directors that came in, you know, you liked them all. There wasn't anybody that didn't sort of fit the Avengers mold.
No, they were all my old friends from, you know, whatever else anyway. Bob Fust was, you know, I absolutely loved him more than anybody, I suppose.
Because we were talking on the last watch along about the work you did on the original Avengers series, and I think it was John Kirsch who was directing that, and you said you had a good relationship with him as well. Yeah,
yes. From documentary days, it was really.
Yeah.
And he had a documentary made about him, and he comes on the set, you know, very early, and he's got beautiful black silk longish hair, and he looks groomed and beautiful. 2 hours later, his hair is all over the place, and he's absolutely demented and like worried. And it was so funny in this documentary showing how he changes because of his artistry and his, you know, way of working.
Do you recall the actor who played the main villain? Obviously, it was called Felix Crane in the episode. It was an actor called Robert Lang. I don't know if that name rings a bell to you.
Robert again,
Robert,
please.
Robert Lang, Lang.
Oh, Robert. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes. He was quite a good villain. Yes, he was a strong, serious villain in many things.
And of course, having to do the performance through the mask that he wears all the time again is.
Yes, there's been many other torturous costumes on probably Doctor Who and such likes. Well, us wearing a mask for the corona is a form of that kind of torture.
But yeah, you can. Obviously, we still have communicate through our eyes, and people can, that way. But obviously, the mask that Robert is wearing in this episode, you can just barely see his eye, and yet he's still projecting that performance through it. So I think it's quite amazing, really. So do you have any particularly vivid memories of this episode, or around this time that sort of came to mind when you saw it again?
Well, only my coup from it, which we're saving for later, I think.
Yes, let's speak to that. Yes, talk about that as we get to it. How does the New Avengers sit in your career in terms of where do you rate it in its prestige? Is it up there, or?
Oh yeah, no, I felt really like proud and current in doing it, and because when it's a series, they last forever in people's memories. I don't mean one's own, but there are like fans forever, so that's pretty good.
Good. Definitely. So were you aware coming into this that it was? I think obviously you'd probably seen some of the Avengers, the '60s series, so I imagine there's quite a bit of excitement to be back with Patrick Macnee and John Steed, and from the crew. Did you pick up on that?
Well, because I did the odd days on proper Avengers over the years, I didn't ever do a whole episode for some unknown reason, but I did lots of second unit or days.
Yeah.
That was on so I'd had an affection in my memory, and so to get the New Avengers, I was like thrilled to bits.
It was a very good continuation of that introduction with the '60s episodes, for sure.
I didn't understand.
Well, also, I'm just saying it's lovely to have that introduction to the Avengers with the then on to work.
Yeah. Apart from the Patrick, it was so different, and the cast were different. So it was our own.
Yeah. As a viewer who's seen the original series on the New Avengers, do you
probably the absolutely devotees of the Avengers were a bit snuffy about our New Avengers, I think.
Probably, I think perhaps I know Ray was talking about this when we had him on doing an episode, but it's a different format with 3 people rather than 2, and obviously it's much more.
Well, they couldn't accept a threesome, really.
Yeah.
The purists.
Yeah, but which I find a bit difficult, because obviously the Avengers has always had an evolution. It was originally Patrick Macnee and Ian Hendry, so it was a buddy sort of, two guys in the leads, and then obviously Honor Blackman came in, then Diana Rigg changed to colour, changed the show's tone dramatically. So it's very difficult to say what the Avengers is, because it's always changed.
Sure, yeah. And I think they tried Ian Hendry on the very, very original live television ones.
Yeah, he did the whole first season. which unfortunately only a few episodes exist. A lot of them unfortunately wiped. But yeah, if you were going to say, let's make the Avengers today, what do? Do you make it?
Oh, sure. You've got to. You'd have to evolve.
No, evolve. Yes, definitely.
Yes, Darren has just written something.
Oh, I'll see what people are saying. Let's have a look. Yes, Darren said, I was already a huge fan of the Avengers from the original series, but completely loved the new Avengers when it started. I remember watching it on Friday nights when it was first shown on CBS in the US in the late 70s. So, yeah, people have a great affection, I think, for the new Avengers just as much as the old Avengers.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, and it's one of those things.
I just have to drop a kind of bit of name dropping that Peter Hammond, who was married to Maureen Glynne, who's a Glynne, was the first director when it was Ian Hendry.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah.
How to do 3D. Wow. They had different plans way back according to that.
They planned to do a 3 lead episode in series 2, Patrick Macnee, Judy Smith, and Blackman, but it ended up not going ahead. In series 1, we had Ingrid have to alongside Patrick and Ian, although she didn't always take part in the investigations. Yeah, that's a good point. That particularly the early episodes of series 2, you had a variety of different companions before Honor Blackman became the full person. So they had, the co-star. So they had tried a variety of things before they settled on that male-female sort of relationship. So so the Avengers could be anything. Today you could do any kind of mixture, and it could still be the Avengers.
Well, let's hope someone will resurrect it.
Well, I don't know if you ever saw the film they did in the 90s.
No, I didn't.
You haven't.
I think I felt I couldn't.
Yeah, you haven't missed much, to be honest. It wasn't a great film, I don't think. I think the mistake they made was perhaps, well, obviously recasting Patrick Macnee and having somebody else play John Steed rather than say have another character to follow in the Avengers world. You can't replace Patrick Macnee. So
no, they kind of can't. I mean, they could, a younger generation would accept a new Steed, like they had to accept new females. I'm just looking at my background screen and seeing if I have to do something or whether it's going to replay, which is what I want. Yes, it is. I think it's going to replay. Good, very good, very good. It took me many hours to set up this setup, I have to mention.
Very good.
An inch here and an inch there.
Yeah.
Ah, look, exactly what I want it to do.
I wanted to ask you about some of the behind-the-scenes people on the New Avengers. I don't know if you remember people like Michael Reed, the cinematographer.
Michael, yes. I knew him as a focus and operator, lighter, and brother of Maxwell Reed. And he was a really lovely guy. And he was at Hammer for some time, I seem to remember. He was everywhere, but a very laid back, lovely guy. Who else was I working with, please?
I'm just trying to think now. I'm just going to read a little comment from Richard. Just put, I was too young for the original Avengers, so New Avengers was some introduction. I think it might have clashed with Top of the Pops at the time, which annoyed me. It annoyed me. I said he couldn't view in the days before video recorders. I didn't get the Avengers until the Channel 4 repeats in '84. So he came to it the wrong way around, he was saying. So New Avengers then discovered the original series. I suppose people do that with Doctor Who. They start with the new ones and then they go back into the old series.
Yeah, I haven't got beyond the original Doctor Who.
I mean, I think one thing that's nice about the new Doctor Who is that it continues the story. You haven't reset it like the Avengers movie did, for example. You had the same world, which I suppose is nice for the fans to have that same side continuity, really.
Yeah, I love the original Doctor Who.
I think you might have to press play, Renée, to get the episode to go again. It's just,
I have to do something. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Play maybe. Where is it? Hopefully I've done it.
Oh yeah.
I went out and bought a DVD player this very day because my Blu-ray and this ray and so on that I use at the moment didn't want a basic DVD
right.
with a SCART. So
yeah.
I went to Curry's or Argos in the end. And I went to Argos and they said, oh no, you can't buy anything like this. You've got to do it online. So I went home, ordered it online, went back to Argos, got it, set it up, and I'm so happy. So happy.
Oh, good. Yeah, it seems odd that they would send you away, make you, and then come back to the.
I mean, if I'd had Wi-Fi working, I could have done it, in my car. But for some reason, I thought easier, come home.
Yeah.
And in the old days, it would be have a hot chocolate with whiskey in it. But under the circumstances of I'm celibate, not drinking.
Yeah.
For another 4 days, and then next weekend is Prosecco, champagne celebration time.
That sounds good to me. We've had a nice question in from Ian. He said that the mid-70s were a very bad time for British cinema. Did you find that there was less being made around the period of the New Avengers? And was there a different atmosphere in the 70s?
I mean, I don't know. There was a really bad year where no one worked other than I worked for Jack Parsons on a series of very, 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 very good B movies. And we kept Shepperton working.
Yeah.
But it was 69 or 70, definitely a bad year. David McGillivray has just asked me why I'm not drinking, and the only reason I'm not drinking is to get the full the full of the second jab. If you drink when you've had second jab for the 2 weeks that you have to wait, it doesn't necessarily work as well. So no smoking and no weed and no nothing. Apple juice.
So I'm just going to close the door when I've got some sound coming in. Sorry, 1 second.
Okay.
So I've got some questions I thought would be nice to have to look at. Piers wanted to know, your role as script supervisor would have covered a lot of duties. Can you tell us sort of briefly the process to bringing the episode, so an episode of New Avengers, to the screen from your perspective? So what you would have to do in your role to make the final product a reality?
Well, when you're on a series, you get a new script, maybe 4 days before a new episode, 4 days before you start shooting it. So my system was every Saturday, we did 5-day week, which was wonderful. So on Saturday, I used to break down the next episode and do all the prep that I have to do. And then mostly I had Sundays off, but not always. And then on Monday it was a new episode. And fortunately on the new Avengers, we didn't do a bit from this episode and that episode, but on Catweasel, we did 4 episodes at the same time, certain shots. But fortunately, we couldn't do that with the new Avengers, and I haven't had to do that with anything else. But I had a trolley, like a shopping trolley, with all the episodes in case there was a reference or we did a pickup shot. You get it down to a fine art, really, of how you do it. But the biggest thing is to do a synopsis the moment that you get the script and time it. And put the chronological days, and if you know what time on clocks it's got to be or might be, you do that and you give that to all the departments, and then that means that they don't have to come and ask us quite so many questions. Although I love being asked questions and looking up the reference. Once in a blue moon we have to phone the cutting rooms to say, could you check something? But it's very, very, very rare.
Yeah. So not only would you be keeping an eye on the episode that you were making at the time, you were also making sure that it didn't say something that contradicted something.
Sure. Yes. Different series. The Avengers or New Avengers they didn't have references to before or after, so that was a bit easier than, I could say Catweasel.
I suppose one of the real benefits of the New Avengers is Brian Clemens writing a lot of the scripts or rewriting or having some input into the script. So I'd imagine from continuity point of view, he kind of had it very much in his own mind, so maybe that made your job and others a bit easier because of it.
Yeah, I mean, they were really very, very clear. You couldn't not know when it was a day change or season change or something.
Seeing what other, I think I have a question just popping.
That's a bit of a favourite shot that's just gone by for me.
I think I missed that shot. What was the shot again? Sorry, Renee?
I think it probably was the actor Robert Lang.
Of Lang, yes.
With mask.
Oh yes, being quite sinister, and I think it's a close up. Yes.
Yeah.
It's very, and I think he has different masks as well in the episode, so he has a face.
Well, yes, because it was a preparation behind the scenes stuff, checking what would work and what wouldn't work. So I love behind the scene whenever there are people, extras on DVDs, if they've got behind the scenes. It's a bit my favourite.
Oh yeah, I find it fascinating as well to sort of see that it's behind the curtain, as it were. We have a question from Andrew. What are your memories of working with Jeffrey Bolden on Catweasel?
He was the loveliest man on earth. Gentleman, interesting. No, absolutely loved him. That's about all I can say.
Yeah.
He lived with a guy, but he lived next door to a very famous TV cook whose name I can't remember, and she had this cooking program, and he would be talking about her to us, and she would be talking about him if we were working on her show. And she was a very pushy cook.
I have another question. Did you ever keep any of your production paperwork from things like the Avengers or any other projects?
I had a bonfire, 2 bonfires, believe it or not, and I burnt all my scripts. I thought, oh, every one of these scripts is now a film in the cinema or on TV. Why do I want to keep these scripts? So, I mean, so regretfully, I can't believe.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking nobody would be interested in, my scripts. And Room with the View was the first, and Sympathy for the Devil were the first time that I stopped burning anything. And the odd script, I don't know how, I've forgotten what series it was, turned up at a festival and someone bought it and then showed it to me, but I can't remember what it was. It must have been like a second script, because I always had to have 2 copies, and sometimes I had 3 copies. I'd have 1 copy for me and 1 copy to mark up and cut up for the editor. Yeah. And then I might have had a 3rd one, which was the version that we didn't shoot. Anyway, it's thrilling when someone suddenly flashes one of my scripts to me.
Yes. Did you ever find on the New Avengers that the scripts ever changed dramatically, or were they all kind of sort of very much there?
As far as I remember, hardly a word changed.
So any changes or revisions that happened were very much before it came to you, basically?
Oh yeah, yes. We might have got script amendment pages occasionally, I suppose, but I can't remember. On every feature you get blue, green, yellow amendments, generations of amendments, but on series I think they can't afford to do that, because it would somehow delay us, I guess.
Yes, most partly, yeah. I did have one good question. We might leave to the end for that one. What's the production you most enjoyed working on in your career, and what's the one you're most proud of, assuming they're not the same one?
Yeah, well, I mean, I could say Brief Encounter, but I was in the production office on that anyway. I wasn't on the floor. Maybe Room with a View. I don't know. Or Before the Rain, I think I loved most, which is practically a cult movie.
Yes.
David Hemingway has just said something about props, which brings us to the time of showing my prop. I might go over and kiss it.
Okay.
Cuddle it. Just cuddle it. I'm going to cuddle you. I love you. I got that. They must have made 20 throwaway versions of that, and they're all smashed. But by luck, and I was big friends with the chief plasterer and the plasterer's shop, because I'm a sculptor, and they made my copies from my clay. Anyway, somehow I acquired the prop of all times.
Yeah. We'll point it out when we get to the episode.
Ah, yes. Sorry.
But no, good thing for us to have it in our mind. So the one you've got was designed to be a breakaway version.
It's one that got away, you could say.
Yeah. So I assume on the Avengers you had quite a few multiple takes of things like the action scenes. I'm guessing, hence why there's so many made.
Well, it would be many takes and many shots, many setups, maybe 2 cameras.
Yeah.
Don't remember.
So is that your only memento from the the new Avengers?
Yeah, I don't think I'm panning around my room, but I don't think I've got anything else, any props.
And you never really acquired any, because there's lots of stories of people sort of taking props and that sort of thing, production, that you never attempted to take anything from or given.
Actually, I've got a tin bus from the Craze film, which is very precious, and it's like a 1940 Greek bus.
Oh, lovely.
Yes.
Because one of our viewers, Jan, did want to ask about the Craze, because it's one of his favourite films. So what do you remember about the Craze and working with the Kemp brothers?
Well, the Kemp brothers were, great, and they'd been child actors, but this was their first serious acting role, and it was, hard for them, but they both were brilliant at it. And both, lovely guys. That's really it. It's interesting to hear and see Martin Kemp's son, who's documentary maker and a broadcaster and a journalist, lovely young man. I don't know of any other of the little Kemps.
Because Jan is also a big fan of Brief Encounter, because obviously being a production secretary, you probably weren't hugely involved on Brief Encounter, but what do you remember from Brief Encounter?
Oh, no, well, very involved, just not involved on the floor, but was like retyping script, asking David Lean questions that had to be asked for the office, going on the floor, having to talk to Trevor Howard and Celia Johnson about, I don't know, transport or something. So I had really, and I was still 18, I think. And, just to the manner born, one did it. And the production manager was in an office on his own, and then I was in an outer office, but I had the runners and the transport chief, and was responsible for typing the call sheet, which was on a skin, the Gestetner skin, which you then put into a Gestetner machine, and you got the copies out. So that was, it's very, very, very responsible job, and ridiculous that it was given to someone who was 18.
I mean, do you find that the opportunities to be in the film business, do you think it was easier when you started as opposed to somebody now who wants to get into it? Would somebody of 18 have that responsibility now, for example?
Well, no, they wouldn't get that break now, forced upon them.
Yeah.
Or what was forced upon me, I was an assistant continuity, 18, 19. And then I got offered small budget films on my own, and I said, oh no, I would love to stay an assistant on big films. I really don't want to do that. And I got talked into it. And so I was doing a few little films, and then Brass Monkey, which was quite a big film, and I was 20, which now, almost nobody would get that sort of forced on them or break.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, your career spans, almost a fairly unique sort of continuity of being starting in the late 40s, and then obviously going on to, and obviously you still do the odd project. So how has it all evolved in your eyes?
The job is still the same, but the note taking is different because it's computerized, but you still have to take exactly the same amount of information and pass it on to the editor, because there's no way that he can see that information that he needs except from our communication with him. The stuff to the office is probably slightly different now, but certainly the continuity to the editor is exactly the same, which is really quite extraordinary.
I mean, how, from your perspective, has the industry evolved during your career?
Well, just, I mean, nothing has changed except video assist, which gives everybody, they can check for themselves things that they would have to ask us about. And that, apart from that, it can't change, it hasn't changed. And now I've changed because I keep getting acting roles. And I think that I thought, oh, you know, I have respect for actors, but I've got more now because it's hard. It's harder work. A day on a, you know, playing a part is harder than doing continuity, which I thought was the hardest job in the world.
Yeah.
But it's quite funny that now I'm an actor, so I like that.
Yeah, so it's nice to have both sides of the.
Yeah, I was always asked to just do a momentary shot. About 4 different films, I was asked to play a teeny weeny part, but that's kind of slightly different than going in, as I have to very gratefully now. I mean, I've only done it twice so far, but I have one to do at the end of this year, which is exciting. Exciting director.
Oh, that sounds very, very good. We look forward to that.
Unpaid, I might mention, because it's always, you know, an independent producer director that does these. Yeah.
Do you find it's the smaller productions that tend to be the most interesting and, you know, sort of more?
No. I mean, I don't want to work on blockbusters, but action films and, you know, medium budget I enjoy very much. Out east, like 4 times. I worked with Jack Gold, and that was mostly home based, or the most was go to Vienna, and he and I stopped working together, or he decided we didn't work together anymore, and I thought, woof, now I'm free to do other stuff, and immediately I got offered films, action films, one after another in the Philippines, which was exactly what I didn't want, but I loved it, of course.
Yeah.
And Round the World in 80 Days, which was round the world, but not in wherever we were supposed to be shooting. And that was also in that period. Eventually, in order to stop working, I got a dog. And then I was doing a training scheme that the union set up, where we had assistant continuities attached to continuities on various big films.
Yeah.
And there were 3 former continuity girls, women. I still say girls because that's what we were originally. Yeah. We never were continuity women. We were continuity girls, and then we were continuity, and then we were script, and then we're script supervisor. But anyway, I used to go with my dog to locations and Pinewood and Shepperton and Elstree to see my specific trainee at work and discuss, you know, with the continuity how she was getting on. They were always she's, always female. And then do a report back to the union. That was a lovely paid job for about 5 years. And that's probably 15 years ago. But I'm still working. I mean, I don't know what I'm working, but I'm working on film or in film to this day, which is lovely.
Oh yeah, wonderful.
Right, you're making me work now. This is very hard work.
I mean, another question I had from Jan was about, well, we touched on it earlier, a women with review. What stands out from that production for you?
Well, working with Merchant Ivory is something very, very different. There's one absolutely wonderful relationships with everybody, and Maggie Smith was very upset with what's her beautiful name?
Oh, Helen Boland Carter.
Yeah. Because at that time she was a very undisciplined actress, and the Maggie used to grab my hand to stop her rage coming out, and I can't think what Helena Bonham Carter was doing that was so irritating. And I worked with her when she was 16, and the part was not, I don't know, it was easy, but there was not this sign of her being unruly or a rebel. But it was, very difficult, and she was absolutely brilliant in the film. But to the behind the scenes situation, although I absolutely loved her, there was this friction, which my loyalty was to the Maggie Smith, because the Helena was irritating, but now I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. I think when we were talking about women review, you were saying that you actually had the women review.
I need you to say that again.
I was going to say, when we spoke last about women review, you said that you actually turned out as having that room from the film.
Well, James Ivory is a very cool, not a cold person. He's very cool. So whereas directors are very warm with me normally, he wasn't warm. And when we were shooting across the Arno, we did it the wrong way round for the actual story. So we were on the wrong side of the Arno. But anyway, there we were. And we were focused literally on my balcony. And he said, I just accepted that. That was my balcony. And I'm going to cry. He said to me, "Oh, this is my gift to you." And it was so loving, and it was just gorgeous. Yes, thank you for letting me tell that again.
That's a lovely story. I always enjoyed hearing that one. So we're now coming up to the big fight scene between the Cybernaut and her. So we're going to see your store in a few moments.
Yes, my treasure, my treasure that everyone that passes through my house eventually gets to know about that treasure.
So imagine doing a scene where you have lots of action and props everywhere being thrown and smashed. Continuity-wise,
so comes the day of shooting, and the Cybernaugts invade, and they pick up stuff to fight and thing, and the main prop that they really smash was this beautiful porcelain pedestal. And of course we did, it's not so much we did 20 takes, but we did 20 shots, 20 setups, you could say. And so one clear, and the big clearing of the set and redressing it and putting that famous prop back would take like 10 minutes before we could do another take or another setup. But anyway, somehow I managed to acquire it from the plasterer's shop, I guess. I mean, I can't remember how I got it, but they must have had some left over, and maybe they asked me if I wanted one or I saw it. But anyway, how many years? This is from 74-ish to, that's 25 years and another 20 years. It's kind of 50 years ago, and nobody has broken it in my house, thank goodness.
Okay.
It is very, I mean, it's a breakaway. So you'd only have to sort of knock it over and it would go. But it's the weight of a feather. I mean, it looked just lovely, you know, china. And it must have been a repro of a prop that they had of the real thing.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting. So maybe I could research, you know, whether it's Chinese or Czechoslovakian or whatever.
Yes, that sounds interesting.
Which I love it, and it's got my magnolias. My magnolia tree is in full blossom in the garden. Yeah,
looking lovely.
And I cut some magnolia and put it in there. And there it is.
Because one of the things that we touched on a while ago was obviously the importance of having, like, let's say 20 breakaways just in case you needed another one for another take. I remember you telling me when you were doing Around the World in 80 Days, Pierce Brosnan had a rather distinguished top hat, and I think that went great.
Oh, well, I mean, there couldn't have been a worse thing to happen, not to me, but to the wardrobe department. It had its own, you know, crate it lived in. And I mean, there must have been two, but I mean, I'm now thinking there was only one.
Yeah.
And it didn't arrive in Thailand. We'd come from Hong Kong and it just did not arrive there. Or maybe, wherever we were. It was Thailand. And we're all set to go. And there's an enormous riverboat, like 1 million people on it. And we're ready, and they can't find this top hat. I mean, they did find it, but we were probably held up an hour, and everyone had a nervous breakdown. And it was, you know, the worst thing I can remember, the most embarrassing thing for not me, but the department, who were particularly my friends on that location or film. Wonderful wardrobe mistress and a wonderful wardrobe master.
Yes, it's a wonderful production. And also with it, we're just watching the end credits now come up, and you are credited correctly, the correct spelling on this one.
I used to be always correctly spelled, and then over the next century, half a century, they'd get it. One out of every 5 times that it would be wrong, and there's a unit list that has it spelt correctly, and that's what's given to the post-production. So how they get to do it wrongly, I just don't know. I really don't know.
I mean, I think we were saying that it was it 2 weeks per episode to make, roughly, in terms of shooting?
I think they were 2 weeks. They couldn't have been 1 week, I don't think.
So I suppose...
and we had a second unit running all the time, which, you know, it made double work. You know, having a second unit is double work for both continuities, because we have to liaise to such a degree that you have to liaise, and then a surprise shock that you've got to pass on to each other. It was very hard work, but it was, you know, really very likable, lovable, and not beyond. Because sometimes on a feature film, you are really overworked, and you know, it's almost impossible to keep up that pace. But on series, they just don't do that. They work out because they don't want to kill you. They need you alive. And now on film sets, they give you vitamins and water and all that stuff, but it's not out of good-naturedness. It's because they want you to stay healthy.
Yeah, oh, right, yeah. Ian had a question related to what we were just talking about. He was wondering sort of how many minutes roughly of usable footage would you get on a day's shoot? So how much?
Yeah, 1.5. You were lucky if you ever got 2, because it's a minute. The script is, say, 60 pages long, and they're a minute and 5 seconds per page, and so you do, probably try and do 2 pages a day or 1 3/4 pages a day, and sometimes you do 5 pages a day, but that's because it was just 5 pages of dialogue. So I have to talk about average page, average page, which has a difference, a new set and some action and then some dialogue. But when it is all dialogue, you can do 5 pages in a day. And that's one of our particular jobs, because it tells at the end of the day the summary of how many pages, how much screen time, what time you started work, what time you finished, any hold-ups. We are responsible for giving that detail to the office. And before the film, we do a synopsis and then time it, and the assistant directors work from our timing. And then there's the game of comparing our timings, whether they were inaccurate, but on an average they come out okay. Otherwise, I guess we wouldn't survive. We wouldn't survive. They'd survive. We wouldn't survive.
Do you recall the New Avengers ever overrunning, being behind schedule? Or was it a fairly...
No, never. Never. Not a second.
And I suppose it benefited because of having that continuity of the crew, the original and the new. That's probably what made it so good in many respects.
Yeah, I don't know that it's. Yeah, it did. It ran smoothly.
Oh, Renée, are you still with us? I think you might have paused, Renée. I think you might have. I think we've lost Renée. So we'll just see if we can get her back. Oh, you paused a moment, but you're back now.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I breathe. I breathed on the control, I guess. You might tell me the episode, and it was, I think it was Bob Fust, and we were in cement. A place, a big hole where there's
quarry, sort of.
Quarry. Yeah, and it was something like 1974. It was the hottest summer that we'd had for like 50 years or 25 years or ever, and we were shooting in this quarry, and it was absolute hell, and I don't know what the episode was called, but I think it was Bob Fust.
Yeah, I think that was probably the Midas Touch.
It was. Yeah.
Yes. John Carson was in that one. I don't know if he was.
I didn't realise that. I didn't remember that I'd ever met him or worked with him. Was he really?
Yeah. I don't think he was in all the scenes, so he might not have always crossed paths, but he was. And he was another guy who had been in the original series, and different characters, but one of those interesting faces that always popped up. I did have another question for me, and he wanted to know, do you have any memories of Boris Karloff from working on The Curse of the Crimson Owl?
Oh yeah, of course I do. That was the most wonderful experience probably of my whole career. I didn't do the film.
Yeah.
But I went in on second unit night shooting in the exteriors. Oh, I did some interiors as well. But anyway, he was happy to sit in a wheelchair because he was wheelchair pretty well bound.
Right.
And I talked to him, about the dialogue and so on, but I actually talked to him quite a bit. And he was this very, very beautiful English spoken, charming gentleman whom I've been petrified of in every film he'd ever done. And I suppose I wasn't expecting such a gorgeous man. So that was pretty good.
Good. I had some more questions. Do you have a favourite episode of the new Avengers? I mean, I suppose the Last of Cybernaugts, perhaps, but
well, no, I feel it was Eagle's Nest, but you know, I don't think it was Cybernaugts really. I mean, I loved Cybernautts, but it wouldn't be favourite, I don't think.
No.
Yeah, I don't know really. I mean, what I always remember is Eagle's Nest.
Well, I suppose the first episode probably naturally lingers.
It was you couldn't get anything more exciting than starting the series and going up to Scotland and having such a good story. I think that's probably why I feel like that about it.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best and the occasions as well, definitely. Just trying to think what other questions we have. I think I've kind of covered that one. Oh yes, Piers did want to know about what's your interest outside of film and television. You mentioned you did some sculpting. I know you also paint as well. If I should want to talk about sort of your those sort of interests.
Well, while I was working all the years and going on location, I used to carve balsa wood and sit in my bed on days off or nights off, covered in balsa wood shavings. And I've got a whole about, I don't know, 50. And each piece of bas relief, I suppose they are, mean something to me. So there was that. And then when I actually stopped filming properly, I thought, oh, I've got to have a job that I can't really do. I'll be a painter, because you can't really do continuity. I mean, it's impossible to control the whole thing. So painting, I hadn't painted and wasn't really an artist anyway. So now I'm a painter who can paint very my own way and can sell paintings or be respected. What else can't I do? That I'm doing? I think that's pretty well it. And now up until about 30 years ago, no one ever dreamt of wanting an autograph, me to sign an autograph or talk to me about films, even, you know, if you'd gone to a showing. And then that started, and then being invited to festivals and being interviewed on stage, which absolutely petrified. I thought my head was going to blow off with fear on the first one, which was actually talking to trainees at ATV at Elstree and running a whole week of advising them. And I was so frightened, you know, I really thought my head was going to blow off. And the only thing that helped me was Renée Glynne saying to me, remember that who you're talking to, you know more than they do. That's all she said to me. And now I love it. I can't stop. Oh, you want to interview me like you're doing now? Oh, of course, you know, and I love it, absolutely love it.
One of the questions that I wanted to ask you, just because again I enjoyed hearing it, you tell me, I'm sure people watching will like to know, your encounters with George Bernard Shaw.
Oh my goodness, yes. So Gabriel Pascal found me in the Denham studio corridor when I was visiting the studio with my then boss, who was Two Cities Films, and it was Laurence Olivier doing Hamlet. Anyway, this extraordinary character, Gabriel Pascal, bumped into me in the corridor, and he thought, oh, you look an interesting girl. I was a girl. And he asked me who I was, and I just said who I was and what did I want to do. And I said, oh, I'm a production secretary. I mean, I was a assistant producer secretary, but I do want to do continuity. And he said, oh, I will make you the finest continuity in England. And I said, but I've got this job now with working for Filippo del Guidici, and I can't really leave this job. And he kind of dragged me to his to the Dell's office, and he said, this girl doesn't know who I am. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know he was about to make Caesar and Cleopatra. Anyway, cutting a long story very short, I went to work for him in his farm, which is in near Gerrard's Cross, Mumford's Farm. And it was on a year's worth of prep for the shooting of Caesar and Cleopatra. And it was writing, the script writers writing the script. And so every time they produced a new amended page, it had to go to George Bernard Shaw, who was living in Pall Mall. That's where he always lived, other than Aerts and Lawrence. Anyway, so he's in residence in London. And I was the person, the secretary, who had to take this amended sheet of script to him in his apartment, wait while he approved it or disapproved it, and take it back home, and then take it back to Gabby in the morning. So 2 or 3 times I had to do this, and I'd go and he'd be out for his afternoon walk, and so his housekeeper would make me a cup of tea, and then he'd come in and he'd say, have you made her tea and cakes and things? And the housekeeper would say, no, just a cup of tea. And then I'd get sandwiches while he went over this script. And I was in awe of him, of course. And there's a backstory to this as well, but I'll tell it in a minute. So anyway, he'd approve the script and mutter something and give it back to me. And off I went home. But by chance, during World War II, I was an evacuee to Welwyn Garden City, and I used to cycle with friends to Aerts St. Lawrence, where his house was. We never saw it, but I just was aware that George Bernard Shaw lived there. So that was, a bit of double magic. And he was a charming, I think he was 91 when I met him, which I thought was a very old age, but he was very young for his age, and he lived a few years more, I think. But beautiful man. And I love his work, all his plays and stuff. Anyway, it's lovely to be able to reminisce for anybody who will listen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the people watching, obviously, very much Avengers fans, but obviously film and TV, and the golden periods, all the history. So it ticks everybody's boxes to hear about these things. Definitely. The last question I had was just about one of the episodes you did, Cat Amongst the Pigeons, because that had Ian Hendry guesting. And
did it have Edward Judd as well?
Well, I can't remember now, but if anybody watching knows whether Edward Judd was in it, but yeah, obviously Ian Hendry, obviously for him to return to the Avengers was obviously quite a big deal, but obviously not the character that he originally played, of course.
No. And I'd done a feature film with him, so I knew him. He was very kind of, even if he was the lead in it, he was that small part to what he'd ever done before. But he was just, I sort of remember him on it, and he was, who he ever was, which was lovely. And he hadn't he didn't ever age. He was never young, and he never got old.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, yeah. So he was quite a nice person to work with. And
Yeah, he was. On one film, after lunch, he was a bit spiky, very spiky, but I don't think he was on the Avengers.
Do you have any last comments you want to make about the last of Cybernaugts or your time in the Avengers in general that you haven't already done so?
Well, just long may they long may they relive.
They are starting to come out
on this box set. Yeah.
Yeah. They're coming out on, well, there's one episode that's been put out on Blu-ray, and it looks stunning. And it is actually the last of Cybernaugts that they remastered, each frame by hand. It was all very and I think I did send you a copy of that. So if you get a Blu-ray player set up,
I've got a Blu-ray player.
Yeah.
Which I had to have for something that some work I was doing. So you sent it to me. Oh, lovely. So I've got it.
And also there is an interesting option to view it where you can view it with original advertisements that were done at the time. So advert. So it gives you a sense of the time period as well. So it's quite interesting little curiosity, but interesting.
Did we never have a conversation about it at the time?
I don't think we did. I don't think it's one of the things I think we probably went on one of our usual tangents and we didn't get back to it. But that's probably what happened.
I feel grateful and embarrassed that that I didn't jump to attention when you mentioned it just now.
I'm not sure we'll get to it at some point. I mean, Piers to just say that Edward Judd was in the episode to capture that.
Well, I remember it well. I was thrilled to have him and Ian Hendry, definitely.
I think it's a really good episode. I think. I mean, have you seen?
I think I'm going to have to look at it.
Yeah. Have you seen much of the original Avengers, or is it something that show that you are?
No, not really. I didn't watch much. No, I didn't.
Because again, on the Blu-ray I sent you, it's got the first two Cybernaut stories on there.
Oh, good. Good.
And to watch them as a trilogy is quite interesting. See it evolve and as a sort of connected story. So that's
no. I will. I shall now. Yes, take Cybernaugts into my life.
That's good. Wonderful. So I think we'll probably wrap it up there. I mean, obviously, I think we could probably talk about a lot of other things, perhaps later on in perhaps with a different focus, freeing ourselves a little bit from the Avengers, perhaps going forward. But I just want to say thank you to yourself, Renée, for joining us for another fabulous evening, reminiscing about all manner of things.
Well, no, it's thrilling beyond belief for me, and so happy to do it.
Oh, good. We'll definitely try and do something else. I hope this will be.
Wonderful.
I've got a little idea. I'll email you later about it. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that's joined us this evening. I hope you've enjoyed hearing about the Avengers and Renée's career in general, and hopefully you'll join us for more events. We have got a couple of events coming up. Ray Austin, who we had a week or so ago, has very kindly agreed to join us again on the 24th of April, and we're going to be doing a classic Avengers story, all done by viewers, which is one of the ones that he directed. And I've also got maybe a couple of other surprises in the pipeline. So more Avengers to come, and hopefully more of Renée to come as well, in different in something exciting coming soon. So thank you very much for joining us, Renée. And until the next time, just have a
Till
lovely
the till the next time.
till the next time. We'll see you soon. Have a lovely evening and take care.
Bye-bye to everybody. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you everybody for joining us, and until next time. I'll end the meeting.
Yeah, I'm reading the thank yous from people.
Oh yes, we should have a look at the thank you, shouldn't we? So from Richard, thank you both. Enjoyed that. Thank you, Richard. Glad you enjoyed.
I saw my son Ant doing a thank you, I think.
Oh, good. Mark, thank you, Renée and Philip. Andrew, thank you. From Annette Hill, thanks for another great evening reminiscing. That's David. Wonderful stories and great questions all. Thank you, Renée. Thank you, Philip. Yeah, I think everybody enjoyed themselves, so that's wonderful. And Nancy said thank you as well. So
yeah, Aunt Glynne's done it. Yeah, good. Yeah. Yes.
Good. So I hope you all can join us in future events. And but for now, we'll both say goodbye.
Yes.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.